Here's what some people are saying about the Projection Booth podcast.
The Projection Booth is single-handedly the greatest film podcast you could ever listen to or could possibly want.
Top notch. 5 stars. This has quickly become one of my favorite film-related podcasts. Always interesting.
A completely unpretentious yet fully comprehensive look at films from all genres.
The Projection Booth podcast, with new episodes available every week at projectionboothpodcast.com.
You guys look like... What do they look like, Jimmy?
Dorks. They look like a couple of dorks.
Get those nerds! Nerds! Nerds!
They're coming to get you, Barbara.
What? Are you kidding? We got us some family here.
Can you dig it? Can you dig it? Can you dig it?
You are listening to the In the Mouth of Dorkness podcast. Here are Brad, Brian, and Darren.
Welcome to another edition of the It Modcast podcast. With me is Brian Young.
God, I love being a turtle!
The Turtle Dork.
Some motherfuckers always try to ice skate uphill.
And also joining us is Brad Gullickson.
And for gosh sake, watch your language.
That's not going away anytime soon.
Mouth Dork.
A census taker once tried to test me. I ate his liver with some fava beans and a nice Chianti.
And I'm your host, Darren Smith.
Warm. Warmer. Disco.
The Disco Dork.
We're so fucked.
And welcome to the It Modcast podcast. What's going on, everyone?
I didn't get that That's hard to do.
That's good. That's good.
That was good.
Yeah. I thought it was Anthony Hopkins sitting right across from me.
Good day.
Hey, Pinocchio, don't stare at me. You might poke me in the eye.
That shit's Australian. I'm sure he likes shrimps on Barbies.
Probably.
What's going on? How's everyone's week in Dork?
Not too bad. Pretty good. Pretty good. Got to catch a couple of new releases.
Did you? How many?
One new release.
You know what a couple mean?
Did I say that plural? Was that plural? Is that plural?
Yeah.
All right,
I mean, were there new releases to see?
Yeah, How to Be a Latin Lover.
Oh, yeah. So that's your week in Dork. So how was it? I didn't get your letterbox rating.
I didn't see it.
Oh, okay.
No.
What did you see?
I saw a movie I think everybody else here saw. It was Sleight.
What?
Let's redo this.
Yeah.
I saw Sleight.
Yeah.
Like sleight of hand, magic.
Oh, okay.
You know, tomfoolery, all that stuff.
Yeah.
So you didn't see the movie Clean Slate with Dana Carvey?
No.
What?
That might be. Is that a future homework?
Maybe.
I hope not. I'm not wasting precious recording time on that shit.
The next ItMod Dana Carvey episode we do is Master of Disguise.
No. There we go. Yeah. He dresses as a turtle.
That's right. He sure does.
Wow, Brian, talk about Sleight.
Okay, Sleight. This was a really intriguing and interesting film that I really, really enjoyed. Let me give you the synopsis. A young street magician played by Jacob Lattimore is left to care for his little sister after their parents' passing, and turns to illegal activities to keep a roof over their heads. And then there's some more. I got to hit.
No, don't.
That's it.
Don't hit more. Don't hit more.
Yeah, because
in fact, the less you know about this film going into it, the better.
And that was the interesting thing about this film is the fact that and I did a little bit of research afterwards and to read up on this director J.D. Dillard and just the promotion of this movie. There was very, very little promotion. I think there was like one 30-second trailer. And it was just all the same clip. So going into this movie, I really knew absolutely nothing that he was just a magician. And then, maybe that's really all I knew.
So this is all I'm going to ask the listeners. We're going to talk about this movie for a good chunk of time because all three of us have seen it. I have thoughts on it.
Okay.
But the thoughts I have, while not necessarily a major spoiler, it goes a little bit. I want to talk a little bit deeper into the plot, into what actually is going on. And I really feel like if you have not seen this movie, you should stop now.
Yeah.
I really liked it. Brian really liked it.
Yeah.
Darren really liked it to varying degrees.
Yeah.
So just hit pause.
So you want to do like a spoiler?
I don't want to talk about like the last 10 minutes of the movie or the last 20 minutes of the movie, but I want to talk about an element that's introduced really early on.
Okay.
But I don't want our listeners to know.
Fair enough.
Just don't even watch a trailer.
Yeah.
Just go watch this movie.
Yeah, fair
it's
enough.
worth your time.
Yeah, fair enough. Okay.
Okay.
So skip forward like 20 minutes into the podcast.
Okay.
All right. Let's
so,
go.
So yeah, I mean, basically, we're introduced to this guy, Bo, and we learned that his mother has just passed away. And the movie kind of opens up with we hear a voice message, and I believe it's from one of his former professors. And as far as like a scholarship, him being able to go off to college. So we get a little bit of backstory about where he is in his life and trying to basically take care of his sister.
And the camera is panning over a series of
Pictures.
Achievements and academic awards.
Yeah. So it's a great way to establish his character and to give you a little bit of exposition of who this guy is. And you realize that he's kind of, I don't want to say panhandling, but he's like a street magician, trying to get money to basically be able to raise his little sister. And I just want to go to the cast. I thought Jacob Lattimore did a really, really good job. I mean, I'm not familiar with this young actor, but it just all the even the young lady who plays his
Seychelle Gabriel or his sister?
Yeah, Seychelle Gabriel. Yeah,
That's Holly.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, Holly.
His sister Storm Reed.
Storm Reed.
The little girl.
Yes.
She's
Tina.
awesome.
Yeah, everybody is absolutely fantastic, but Jacob Lattimore he has a presence that I think on screen that you really kind of engage and connect and really feel empathy for his story as he's kind of going through, trying to figure out, if he want to, start to go into this life of crime, that this is not really the direction that he wants to go, but he feels like he needs to in order to kind of make this money to take care of his family.
So, early on, he is the sole breadwinner.
Yeah.
And, he has graduated into being a parent to his younger sister.
Yes.
Who is like 10, 11
about that,
something like that.
Yeah.
And he has to pay the bills. And the way he's paid the bills is through sleight of hand, busking on the street. But he's also dealing Molly for
that's right, yeah.
Angelo.
No, he's dealing Molly for Cameron Esposito.
Oh yeah.
Lisa loves Cameron Esposito. Oh my,
that's who she
it's
is. Luna.
Yeah, Luna. What's that podcast that Lisa's always going on about? Lisa's gonna kill me. Someone Google that shit. But Cameron Esposito from, I want to say it's like called Clap Your Hands Together, right? Where it's like a podcast in which she hosts stand-up comics, and they come in and they do their set, and then it's like an anthology podcast for stand-up. Okay. Anyway, Lisa likes it.
Well, no, Bo's not dealing for her; he's dealing to her. His supplier is Angelo. Cameron Esposito is one of his clients. Because he goes to drop off the drugs.
Right. Yeah, right.
She gives him all that money.
Yeah, she gives him the money. That's right. Yeah.
But Angelo is his supplier. Played by Dule Hill.
Dule Hill. Not familiar with him.
Which, when we get to him, that's my issue.
He's
with the
from
film.
the TV show Psych. Dule Hill's great.
Yeah, I had issues with. I just had issues with that casting. I don't think he fits that role, like in the portrayal of the character and that type of character, how I would see in a film like this. He's not the actor.
I don't think he is the cliche that you.
No, he's not,
and that's what I find interesting about his casting in it. And I think he does a pretty good job.
Yeah.
But anyway, so he's dealing for Dule Hill. Mm-hmm. He's supplying Cameron Esposito Molly for her club, and he's supplying a bunch of random people on street corners. Mm-hmm. He's a drug dealer.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, basically. What he has to do.
You get early on in the film that his ability with sleight of hand is beyond, Penn and Teller stuff.
Yeah.
It's beyond Chris Angel's Mind Freak. It appears that he has a supernatural ability. But early on, you also see that he's in the bathroom and he's cleaning this contraption that has melded into his shoulder and has become infected. It looks like this giant coil of magnets in his bicep.
It's like an arc reactor.
Yeah, it looks like Tony Stark's arc reactor.
Yeah.
And he's using this, organic magnet to manipulate coins and rings and metal. Mm-hmm. He's mini Magneto.
Yeah.
When do they show that first?
Early.
That's early. That's very
It's like within the first 5 minutes of the movie.
Yeah.
Because I must have missed, because I actually came in late. Like, so when I came in, he was manipulating some batteries, and he moved them into the trash can.
Yeah, that's when he reveals it.
That literally happened like seconds before that.
Okay,
because
so
he was in the bathroom, and you see it in the mirror, and then he goes and he moves the batteries into the trash can.
So that wasn't revealed to me until it was revealed to Holly in the bed.
Oh, okay.
And so
you're just like, whoa,
yeah.
So you missed it by literally seconds.
So that affected how I felt about them, like the reveal of that being his power, because I was under the assumption that he was naturally and truly supernaturally gifted.
Okay.
So when it was like something mechanical at first, I was like, I kind of felt disappointed, but I will get to that later because that has since switched. It switched very quickly, my thoughts on that in the film. Okay. But anyway.
Well, so, as life becomes more and more complicated for him, he starts up a relationship with Holly. Mm-hmm. He wants to get out. To get out, he owes Dule Hill some money. Mm-hmm. To get more money, he cuts his drugs with flour.
Yeah.
And Tylenol for the Molly. Mm-hmm. And he makes a ton of money, but Dule Hill discovers this fact. Yeah. Although, in between all this, Dule Hill has brought him deeper into his circle of terror.
Yeah.
Because there's another rival group that's starting to sell drugs in his territory.
Yeah.
And Dule Hill uses Bo to be an instrument to cut this guy out. Emphasis on cut.
I know.
Pun intended. and now he finds himself, okay, well, now I'm doing some serious gangster shit that I did not intend or ever want to be a part of.
Mm-hmm. He's in too deep.
So I have to get out, Lawrence Fishburne style.
Yeah.
He's got to break free. Yeah. And, he just as he's about to get out, Dule Hill uncovers it. And then that's the rest of the movie, is that conflict.
Yeah.
What I wanted to talk about is how this film really represents how comic books and superhero cinema has not invaded, but has evolved in the movie-going consciousness. Because now you can have what's basically a Peter Parker story. The Magnets, his web shooters.
Well, that's what I took away at the end of this film. It's like this really feels like the origins of a superhero. It's basically an origin superhero film, and that's what I liked about it. And to your point, what you're saying, how the superhero genre has kind of, I don't want to say infected, but like you say, has evolved in these types of smaller.
We're now telling superhero stories in different ways.
Yeah.
The way that the comic book industry in the last 15 years. Image Comics takes concepts that Marvel created and DC created
mm-hmm.
and puts them on their head, shows you a new way of telling that story.
Yeah.
And this feels like an Image Comics version of the Peter Parker story.
Yeah, Peter Parker and Spider-Man is described as like the street level superhero. Well, if that's the case, like Bo is the epitome of street level, where you go not from suburb or like downtown in Brooklyn or whatever, but you go into like the hood, and someone who is spending time on the street amongst gangbangers and drug dealers, a character who hasn't been represented in a superhero film before, someone who is of urban and African American descent, who isn't from a privileged family. Not to say that Peter is, but just a different viewpoint and different set of eyes that we can see something phenomenal.
A different corner of America.
Yes.
And it's interesting to me too, because if you take this story and you originated it as a comic book first, I could see this story as a comic book.
Absolutely.
You look. I was thinking of a lot of different tropes. You think of like the fact that his parents died.
Right.
It has like those emphasis on like, Bruce Wayne. You look at the Professor and how he, enhances his abilities, almost like his Jarvis or his Alfred.
Yeah, I want to get to that in a second.
But there's like the way they're able to kind of bring in a lot of like those superhero tropes as well, I thought was very fascinating.
Well, again, going back to the Spider-Man thing and the street level aspect of it, his motivation, right? He has with great power comes great responsibility.
Well, definitely.
Philosophy in there. And it comes from now being responsible for his sister. Yeah. And he has the moment where he could go down a certain path. You know, he could go dark.
Yeah.
And sees how terrible a particular choice could be and does result in, and he has to get out because he loves his sister and he has to protect her, and to protect her he's got to embrace a different side of heroism. Or, you know, like there is a moment where he could have easily become a supervillain, and this could be a supervillain origin story, and it comes out being a story of the moral good.
Oh yeah.
And and it is at that center of being an orphan, sure, but also being now a parent to that kid.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely.
So when I initially said that, you know, finding out that his ability stemmed from the device in his shoulder, I honestly was disappointed, because I was like, oh man, like I wanted it to be something like really cool and fantastical. Like I wanted it to stem from something spiritual or, you know, something magical. But it, you know, it's reliant on a device. But then
relying on his brain.
But yeah, but then that's where I said, well, that makes him an even more an impressive and multidimensional character, because he's smart enough to create that and do that to himself. And then, you know, seeing someone who has that potential reminds me of, again, when you go back to the street level, and why I say it's important for this type of character to be seen on screen. And so when you have urban youth who see a character like this, who have unfulfilled potential in an environment that does not foster that and nurture that, they can easily, that's why a lot of them easily turn to crime, and they turn to the people on the corner when they don't have parents and father figures and people who are pushing them in the right direction. They turn to the attention and the affection of the guy on the corner, or their supplier, or their friends, or whatever, and they get led down that dark path because no one's fostering that unharnessed potential. But with Bo, he has that potential. It's not something magic. It's something that is very much real, something that someone in the audience can see. His power isn't based on an infinity stone that I will never be able to get because that's not real. It's not flight because I'll never be able to levitate. It's based on science and math and intelligence, which I could have. I have that. So I could do that. I could be great. I can be greater than my circumstance or my environment. And so when I thought about it in those terms, it immediately, I did a switch. I did a 180 and was like, okay, I rather that it's that.
So there is an aspect to the screenplay that does bother me and extends from what you just said. The movie, in its opening credits, establishes Bo as an incredibly gifted human being with a massive brain. And through the course of his sleight of hand manipulation, you see him execute his intelligence through, granted, a fantastical way, but it is his intelligence. So when the plot starts to ramp up and Dule Hill becomes a genuine threat to his family, there's a moment where I was hoping that he would hit the books again, look at his creation, and create the next level on his own, because he already has the tools to do that. Instead, at a moment when he should be like, oh shit, I've got to do something ASAP because my sister is threatened, not in the future, but immediately, the film doesn't give him the ability to solve his own problem. He goes back to school. He goes back to that professor, and this teacher, his Jarvis, helps him upgrade. When I felt like he already had all of that information, and it would have been more powerful for that character for him to break out on his own and do it.
In a way, yes, I do see your argument there, and I don't disagree with it. But going back to what I said and what type of character this is, and the importance of the type of audience that would see this, and again, people similar to Bo. Bo not being able to do that by himself, but instead of seeking out, because of his parents being dead, instead of seeking out the counsel of the street corner or his friends or whatever, he had someone positive in his life, a role model that he could go to and that could nurture that intelligence and guide him and help him be better. And so for someone who is of a similar character to Bo in a similar situation in that environment where the dad's not home, the mom's working, or mom and dad are dead, they might have a guidance counselor at school, and they might have a teacher at school. And so to see that parallel, hey, that reminds me of my relationship with Mr. Johnson. Like, he is there. He is always positively pushing me and helping me. He doesn't tease me. I can go to him. So I think that to show that he has someone in his life who is trying to foster and nurture. He didn't shut him down. He didn't say, why are you doing that? That's crazy. I can't be a part of that. He fostered his intelligence. He fostered his ingenuity and imagination and helped him. He pushed him to go to be greater. So I think in a way that's even more important than him doing it himself, because you got to think about it on a real level. We aren't always the source of our own inspiration. Sometimes it takes someone else to say, you know what, Brad, fuck that. You can do it. Be better. That's why you have Lisa. Lisa can help you be a better person.
If that was the case, I wish that character was integrated a little bit better than him suddenly coming in at the end. And also, I would have cast a different actor because that dude was terrible.
Yeah.
I mean, his line delivery was painful.
Yeah.
But he did have people he could have gone to. I really liked the neighbor character. And I love the moment when she's like, I know this isn't my place, but I really wish you wouldn't do what you're doing right now.
The Aunt May.
Yeah. And I think, to go to your point, I like that idea.
Well, I mean, again, it's a black youth, and I'm pretty sure you're aware, Brad, that how even in public perception and how important it is for a black youth to have a positive male role model. And I think that he fits that. He had the positive female role model in that lady, his neighbor, who said, you know what, this isn't right for you. I'm going to tell you, you might not want to hear this, but I don't think you should be doing that. He had that, but then he also had the positive male role model who fostered and nurtured his ingenuity and intellect.
Okay, you know what? You won me over on that. Can we recast him though?
Yeah. I had the same concerns in his line delivery. But yeah, I don't know. Like I see your point, and a part of me was thinking this, and that tied into my disappointment with him not having that ability be from inside himself instead of coming out of his shoulder in that device. I was, because that means it's not him doing it; it's the device. But he built that device. He built the device, right? And so that guy fosters the intelligence that built the device. So he's integral, I think.
All right, in this conversation, you won me over to that scene.
All right,
but again, recast that dude,
please. All right. So yeah, let's talk about Storm Reed real quick. She plays she plays Bo's little sister, who he is putting everything on the line for, and making these sacrifices and making some bad choices, but for the right reasons. And she's a phenomenal actor already, and I don't know how old she is in real life, but I mean, she carries some dramatic weight. And one scene in particular, when you see that as a child, as kids, like
she's in 12 Years a Slave.
Oh crap! Huh. Well, we tend to forget how attentive like children are to what's going on around them, whether it be physically, situationally, or emotionally. And there's this one scene where you get to see just how connected and aware of Bo and who he is and how he's feeling. And she, Bo's at this point where he can't figure out a solution to the problem of getting Angelo $45,000 in time before this deadline, before something bad happens. And Storm Reed has this scene where she tells Bo she knows that he's scared, and she emotionally reacts to that in a very moving performance. And I just I'm really impressed by her ability to carry that weight instead of just being a side character who is the motivation for the main character.
Just going back to those two actors, I mean, you engage with this movie because of them.
Oh yeah,
absolutely.
I mean, they feel absolutely genuine.
I was like, man, this dude needs to be Miles Morales, like in a live action Spider-Man.
Yep.
Like, please, today, can we do that? Yeah, I know Sony's doing an animated one, and that's cool that Shamik Moore is voicing it. But can we just get this dude to be live action Miles Morales? And I really enjoyed the relationship with
Holly.
with Holly.
I mean, that's something that I really, really thought, because they really took their time to build that romance between the two of them.
And at first,
it felt natural.
I
to
was
me.
like, I don't want this movie doing this. I don't want this to be part of the film. But the conversations that they have, the scenes that they have together, really develop the story and develop Bo as certainly.
Yeah, it develops him, and also you get just a little bit more about her backstory, and it also just you realize why she hangs in there for him, and just everything that she's dealing with her home life, And so I mean, they feed off each other, and I think they kind of in this particular story, they're two characters. I think even outside of everything that's going on, they really kind of need each other. And that was one thing I really liked, was seeing their relationship kind of blossom and their portrayal between just the two actors. I thought they had great chemistry together.
Yeah, and then so at the end, like the final scene, like my issue that I had with
so we're gonna
I'm not gonna spoil it. I'm just gonna say that issue that I had with earlier in the film,
Dule Hill.
No, with Bo. For me, like in my mind, I think like that issue was addressed. Like I think that he found a way to be more without the mechanical device. I mean, because they don't show it.
I don't know. I don't know if we can say that. I don't know.
I can. I want to say that. I want to believe it.
I don't think there's anything in the movie that would indicate that. Because the whole movie has been talking about developing that technology.
Yeah. But didn't he say when he was telling the girl about the card, like this one card, like if you believe whatever you believe, like, you could do it?
To me, what that scene is all about, because there's a conversation between Holly and Bo, and he's talking about the first magic trick that ever blew his mind.
Yeah.
And it was this guy at San Diego, like at Fisherman's Wharf or somewhere, I can't remember where. And as a boy, he saw this man put a knife all the way through his hand. And when he asked, how'd you do that? The magician said, I only tell other magicians. Mm-hmm. So that was his inciting motivation to become a magician, to become an expert. And he obsessed over sleight of hand and trickery so he could one day find this guy and ask him the question. And he does that. Mm-hmm. And the guy tells him, yeah, I've developed a hole in my hand because I've been stabbing myself over the course of so many years that I've developed a hole and scar tissue around it so that when I put a knife through it, it doesn't bleed. And that's to show human willpower. That's to show that if I can do something, I will do something. It's not a supernatural thing. It's a man thing. It's a human thing. It's determination. So for me, at the end, when we see what we see or we see what we don't see, he is going to the next level, certainly, but it is still an extension of Peter Parker's web shooter.
But I took it as it's not a trick, the knife going in the hand. It's not a trick. I'm actually doing it. So me going to the next level is I don't have this thing in my arm. It's not a trick. I'm actually doing it.
Well, or the fact that after that event in the end, it has invaded his body in a biological way. Possibly. But I still say that it's not necessarily supernatural. It's is still part science of fiction.
Yeah, it's still part of that technology that he developed. Yeah, that's what I took from it too. I mean, I didn't think it was something that he...
To me, if it becomes supernatural, it's not interesting.
Well, I don't even mean supernatural. I mean, I just mean like an extension of, because your body has electrical current. I mean, your body, if he just figures out a way.
If he becomes Electro or Magneto.
Or Static Shock.
Or Static Shock.
Yeah.
He's got to get that Malcolm X hat.
Or the Shocker, possibly.
No, nobody wants to be the Shocker.
No.
Two in the Pink, one in the Stink. It's a different movie. That's for our other podcast.
But one last thing. One last thing before we end the conversation, I just want to talk a little bit behind the scenes. The director, J.D. Dillard. Now, it's just interesting to me because seeing a lot of these young directors, especially black directors, of course we have goodness, I'm drawing a blank.
Black directors.
Oh God, I'm drawing a blank.
John Singleton, Jordan Peele, Ava DuVernay,
Steve McQueen,
Ava DuVernay, and Jordan Peele recently with Get
Ryan
Out.
Coogler.
Ryan Coogler, we have. So we have a lot of these young directors, and J.D. Dillard, what he was able to do with this picture here, and the fact that this movie cost, I think, $250,000.
And the thing is, it looks like it was shot on the cheap.
Yes,
but it looks nice.
It looks really nice, and this is a guy that was working as a receptionist for Bad Robot, and he was able to kind of develop the script, and he got financing through WWE and Blumhouse Tilt, and he was able to make this movie, and now he's being considered for the Fly remake, and he's got another film want that. Yeah, I mean, granted, but just the simple fact that this guy is able to kind of just take this movie and it kind of catapult him into another level.
Let's not Josh Trank him.
True, very true.
Just give him Sleight 2, please.
Yeah, very true. And I would love to see him develop with just, with other small films. But he's definitely somebody, especially with a movie like this on the budget that he was able to create this story, is a fresh voice. And I would definitely want to see where he kind of takes his career moving forward from this.
Yeah, and for me as an original, comic book maniac, this is just really exciting to see this genre mature in this way so soon, after, 1998's Blade, like we've come a long way.
Oh yeah.
That there are many flavors to this genre, and it's really exciting.
It's very exciting, and just to see people have their own interesting and different takes on the superhero genre, not just what we see from like Marvel and DC and people trying to emulate that, but having people like this guy here and telling different types of stories that's a twist on the superhero genre that just makes it fresh. It keeps the genre fresh. So hopefully more people will check it out.
I hope so, because I need Sleight 2.
I don't know. I don't need Sleight 2.
I
do. I want to see. I just want to know if I was right or wrong about the bathroom.
No.
And then that's it. Then go do the Fly remake. What?
Did you stay to the end? Were you waiting for Nick Fury to come?
I was gonna say, was there a stinger?
He's like, Bo, I want to introduce you to the Avengers Initiative.
What?
Crossover.
Yeah.
No. All right. Brad, how was your weekend, Dork? Speaking of comic books.
Speaking of comic books, I read some comic books.
Yep.
Let me reach down to get them. There they are. I finally, really cracked into DC Rebirth. The trade paperbacks are starting to finally trickle on down. When the single issues came after, the big brouhaha of Watchmen enters the DC universe, that Gary Frank, Jeff Johns issue, which was phenomenal. I loved that comic, and I can't remember how many podcasts ago, how many Weekend Dorks ago that was. It feels like 2 years, but it's probably been about a half a year.
Yeah.
I think it was around Comic-Con last year. It was wasn't it last summer?
Yeah. It's probably been over a year. Well, let me think, because they're like 22 issues into Batman, but Batman has started publishing bi-weekly, so God knows how. Yeah, so about a year. Let's say a year. I was not terribly impressed with those first arcs that I was reading month to month, so I pretty much jettisoned all DC Comics after reading that really tantalizing comic book. Darren has been... every couple of episodes we have to talk about Superman in some way.
Yeah.
And I want to like Superman more and more, just being in the presence of the disco dork here. And I find so often when I look at Superman comics and when I recommend Superman comics to people, I recommend, All-Star Superman and Superman Birthright and Superman Secret Identity, Superman Secret Origin. And they're all big idea comics that try to break down what it means to be the Man of Steel or what it means to have the Man of Steel in our lives. They talk about Superman in very heavy philosophical concepts. And as much as I love All-Star Superman, it is the single greatest superhero comic on the planet, in my opinion. Not so humble. For the character of Superman to work, he has to prove himself month to month. And not every issue can be this huge, epic, iconic deconstruction of the character. And so often when I read Superman, I get bored because the writers can't find your basic adventures for this character to go on.
Yeah.
And I trail off. There's only so many times that he can punch Doomsday, right?
Yeah.
But my buddy Rich on Twitter, he's been posting photos of Peter J. Tomasi and Patrick Gleason's current Rebirth run on Superman on his Twitter feed, and I like the art. It looks fun. So 2 trade paperbacks are out. I thought I'd give it a shot. The first volume, which is Superman Volume 1, Son of Superman. Okay, so we're going to get pretty sweaty here. To borrow a phrase from John Schnepp of Collider Movie Talk. I don't have all the answers of exactly what happened at the end of New 52 during the Dark Side War. It gets confusing. I'm going to fuck some things up. I apologize. But at some point, the New 52 Superman, which was a Superman that was created after the Flash went back in time, saved his mother, but then caused a ripple that which they called Flashpoint, and it changed the fabric of reality for DC Comics. And when the Flash picked all the pieces back up, when he reconstructed Humpty Dumpty after Flashpoint, the New 52 was created, and that allowed DC Comics to relaunch at number 1s, and the Superman we had wasn't quite the Superman we had before, and the Flash we had wasn't quite the Flash we had before. We had something new. And that ran its course, and for the most part, was shit. DC, during the Dark Side War, they wanted to get out of New 52. They wanted to go back to the likenesses of the characters that were before New 52, and Rebirth occurs. All right. At the end of New 52 Justice League, the Dark Side War, the New 52 Superman was killed. But then there's this other Superman who I believe was the pre-New 52 Superman, the one that battled Doomsday back in the 90s, the one with the mullet. Well, now that Superman, Doomsday Superman, sees New 52 Superman die, the world and the realities shift yet again, and he finds himself alive on this Earth. It's not quite the Earth he knows, but it's his Earth. This Superman has married Lois Lane. He's with not the New 52's Lois Lane, but another Lois Lane, and he has had a son with this Lois Lane. And now they are on DC Comics' Prime Earth.
Is this the Superman and Lois that are hiding out?
Yeah.
Okay.
So this Superman and Lois and their kid, John, named after Jonathan Kent, are, I believe they're hanging out, not in Smallville, they're hanging out in Hamilton, which is another farm community, and they're under the names Clark Smith and Lois Smith.
Yeah, Smith.
Yeah, that's right, Disco.
Yeah.
I thought you would like that. And at the start of Volume 1 of Superman, this bearded Clark Smith goes to the monument where the New 52 Superman was buried, and he finds Lana Lang trying to remove his corpse from where he was buried in Metropolis to bring it back to be buried in Smallville with Jonathan and Martha. Our Superman, bearded Superman, he's there because he's waiting for this Superman to be resurrected, because he was resurrected. If you recall, in the 90s, he died at the hands of Doomsday. There was this whole pseudo Kryptonian science bullshit involving 4 different Supermen, And he ended up being the fifth Superman. The fifth Superman was the real Superman, and he was resurrected because of Kryptonian technology in the Regeneration Center. So he knows that Superman can come back. He wants to bring his remains to the Fortress of Solitude and get the Kryptonian technology to resurrect this can of ash. Well, he does that. He takes Lana Lang, and they go back to the Fortress of Solitude. But there's no regeneration matrix. This Fortress of Solitude doesn't have that technology. So the New 52 Superman, he's dead. The world needs a Superman. Yo, Beardo, you can't just be dad and husband. You need to put the cape on. You need to put the S on. You need to show the world. You need to be that symbol, for hope and for the sun for America to, not America, for the world to rise to, right? So that's like the first issue. It goes on about, it practically retells the entire Doomsday fight. And I'm just like, oh, this is garbage. I'm not really digging this at all.
Yeah.
However, they get that issue out of the way. This Superman, Clark Smith, he shaves, uses that heat vision, gets that beard off.
He shaves with heat vision.
How else are you going to shave, man?
Dope, man?
He can't use a Gillette razor.
That's so dope.
So he gets that beard off, and he gets to work, and he starts saving cats out of trees. But now what's interesting, what Peter J. Tomasi and Patrick Gleason have done is they've made Clark Kent. They've put him in the role of Jonathan Kent. He's the dad. He is the father. He has a super being as a son that he now has to be an example for. Not just the entire world, but he has to be an example for his son. And he has to make sure that this boy is raised right, because that's a time bomb right there, possibly.
Yeah.
And for the first volume, there's a lot of time in Hamilton, a lot of fun at, your favorite moments of the Avengers for me have always been the Avengers hanging out around the Thor's Mjolnir, trying to see who's worthy enough to pick it up. It's that camaraderie, that talk. A lot of this comic is conversation between him and his son, him and Lois, and the characters of Hamilton, which I really found enjoyable. There are moments where super heroics are needed and people got to get punched. The Eradicator, who was the cyborg Superman created by General Zod and host of all the dead souls of Krypton, does make an appearance. He discovers that the Kal-El, the House of El's genome, is alive and well on Earth. He needs to go and preserve it, but then he discovers Jonathan Smith, the son of Superman, is half human, and he needs to eradicate his human half to purify his blood. And of course, Superman has to throw down with the Eradicator, and it is a great fight. Patrick Gleason is a very cartoony artist, but he has a sense of style that is unlike anyone else currently in the Marvel Universe. Or the Marvel Universe. Ooh, faux pas. The DC Universe. He's very much about the big eyes. There's an anime influence, certainly, to his drawings. But there's a vibrancy and a joy to all of his faces. And when he's drawing the Superboy, when he's drawing Jonathan, the glee that he can portray in this child's face when he is performing his super heroics is so much fun and really beautiful. The second volume, Trials of the Super Son, is where things get really fun. First off, there is a 2-issue arc that's a tribute to Darwin Cook, who passed away a couple years ago. We talked about his book, The New Frontier, in a few episodes. It puts Superman and Superboy, they have this device that transports them back in time, kind of like a Bermuda Triangle in a holocron. And they find themselves on Dinosaur Island. They find themselves maybe a year after John Cloud has committed suicide by jumping into the T-Rex's mouth and blowing himself up in the New Frontier. And they find John Cloud's dog tags amongst the bones of a T-Rex. And they find John Cloud's message of the losers and what it meant to be the losers scrawled on the cave wall, which we saw in the New Frontier. And so here's an opportunity for Peter J. Tomasi and Patrick Gleason to, point readers to Darwin Cook and to say thank you to Darwin Cook. And it's really beautiful. Plus, Superman gets to punch some dinosaurs. And how great is that? And another character gets to ride a pterodactyl. That's awesome. And then finally, the story gets to Bruce Wayne and Damian Wayne, because now currently in the DC universe, we've learned that Bruce Wayne had a child with Talia al Ghul, daughter of Ra's al Ghul, and his child is Damian Wayne, the new Robin. And he's a bit of a prick. He's more than a bit of a prick. But he's the perfect child for Batman. And when Grant Morrison wrote that Batman and Robin story, it was very much about kind of what Peter J. Tomasi's dealing with. How does Bruce Wayne raise this demon of a child to be a worthy human being and a worthy successor to Batman? And now we have Damian Wayne, who straight up hates Superboy from the start. And you have Superman and Batman putting their children through superhero boot camp, basically. Yeah. And showing that even though you guys don't get along with each other and you don't like each other, you can work together to solve a problem. And that's a ton of fun to watch that.
Yeah.
And then in the trade paperback eventually finishes with Frankenstein, Agent of Shade, the Frankenstein monster, going after some shenanigans in Hamilton.
This is a dope-ass cover.
Not too great. Isn't Patrick Gleason like a really interesting artist?
That's just an amazing cover.
Yeah.
I like the way, I like his draw lines. I like the way he draws the big jaws and the chin.
Well, and he certainly, his characters don't all look alike. Batman doesn't look like Superman. Damian doesn't look like Superboy. And even the supporting players, everyone has a distinct look and appearance. And it's all beautiful. And this series, the current Superman Rebirth, it's an adventure comic.
Yeah.
It does dip into what does it mean to be Superman, and why do we need Superman on this planet, and why do we continue to go back to this character in comic books for the past 75 years. But it's also just about punching dinosaurs.
This looks really
so
good.
What I'm giving these to you, Darren. I'd like you to give them a read at some point. I think you'd find them pretty interesting. It's a lot of fun.
Yeah.
And I think if you're one of these weird people who don't like Batman v Superman, I don't know why you're listening to this podcast if you feel that way. You should just turn us off, delete us from your hard drive, or wherever the fuck we are on the internet, and read DC's Superman Rebirth. This is the comic that I think you want from your movies.
All right. Have you gotten to the event, the most recent one, where all the Supermans merge now to become the definitive? They going back to, so everything that happened before was canon. Is that?
Yeah, I think that's happening not in this book. It's happening in another series. I believe that's happening in Action Comics. Again, I don't know what's going on. I've really fallen away from DC, so I'm playing a lot of catch up. I could have read some Wikipedia to bring into this conversation, but I kind of like just going like, all right, this is what I think is happening in New 52. This is what I think is happening in Rebirth. Yeah. This is what happened in Flashpoint. I don't know. Yeah. Comics, man.
Yeah.
But it's just exciting. I'm just really excited to be reading Superman. And I'm really excited to be reading Superman with Darren on this podcast.
Yes, I'm excited. I'm going to check those out. I'll have them read by next episode so we can talk about them. So with Flashpoint, with Flash. So what's going on with Flash? Like as far as the Watchmen are involved in the DC universe, has anything come of Bruce Wayne finding that button?
Well, I have also. So in buying these trade paperbacks, I've also returned to DC Comics. I bought a bunch of single issues. I did buy Batman number 21 and the Flash number 21. It's part 1 and 2 of the titled The Button story arc. And it is about the comedians happy face button that Batman found in the Batcave way back in the first Rebirth comic that Jeff Johns and Gary Frank did. Darren, I don't know. I'm 2 issues in.
Yeah.
I've got Batman 21 in front of me, and the cover on the left side you have Batman, he's holding the button, and on the right side you have the Flash, and he's holding the button. And this issue is beautiful. It's drawn by Jason Fabok, and I love his art. It's Gary Frank-ish. And what this comic does is, all right, for some reason, the Psycho Pirate's mask is in the Batcave. Who's the Psycho Pirate? Doesn't matter. It's a stupid character. The Psycho Pirate's mask is in the Batcave. When Batman tosses the button that he found from the comedian onto his desk, that button rolls over to the Psycho Pirate's mask. There's some sort of electric yellow static shock that ignites. It hits Batman in the chest, and Batman stands up and he sees his father, Thomas Wayne, in his Flashpoint Batman suit.
Oh, shit, with the red eyes?
With the red eyes and the red belt and the bat symbol with the red circle around it.
Yeah.
And it's like a ghostly image. And he goes, oh, that's weird. I got to call the Flash because I know who that is. That's that Flashpoint Batman. That's my daddy. And he calls the Flash, and the Flash is like, look, I'll be there in a minute. And for the next half of the issue, for like 15 pages, suddenly the Reverse Flash shows up, and there's this awesome splash page and punches Batman straight in the face. Look at that. That is an awesome splash page.
Shit.
Look at that, Brian. That's gorgeous. And then the next issue is each panel is a couple seconds as that minute clocks down. Because in the span of that minute, Barry is going to return, the real Flash. So the Reverse Flash has a minute to kick the shit out of Batman. And for several pages, that's exactly what he does.
That has to be the longest minute in Bruce Wayne's life.
It's a long minute. It's like 10 pages.
Yeah.
And what I love is, the Reverse Flash is like, oh, I'm going to kill you. You don't have a chance to stand against me. He's like, no, I just need 11 more seconds.
Wow.
Unfortunately, the Flash stopped over at a hockey game.
What?
And was late.
Are you serious?
Yep.
To do what? Save somebody?
No, yeah, to save somebody.
Oh,
There was a fight on the field,
okay.
or whatever the fuck you call the ice thing, ice rink.
Yeah,
is that a field? What is that?
It's ice rink.
Oh, it's the fucking sports. I don't know. And the Reverse Flash kicks the shit out of Batman, but then Reverse Flash picks up the button, and he is obliterated. He disappears. He reappears. He's a skeleton. End of Batman 21.
Damn.
The Flash 21, sadly, not drawn by Jason Fabok, drawn by another dude, not as good. Howard Porter. I like Howard Porter. It's a stark contrast to Jason Fabok.
Yeah.
And this issue is all about the Flash, Barry, investigating the crime scene of the skeletal remains of Reverse Flash. It's a much more talky episode. They get more into the nerdery of the New 52 and Flashpoint. And what I'm starting to have a understanding is that the Flashpoint event that launched New 52 was probably manipulated by a character in the Watchmen universe, Dr. Manhattan, Ozymandias, one of those two guys.
Yeah.
And that, the result of what happened in Watchmen is Flashpoint, New 52, DC Prime, all that stuff. I'm guessing. I don't know.
Yeah.
I'm only 2 issues in. The Flash and Batman get on the cosmic treadmill. They go back in time. Crazy things they see. And when they wake up, when they jump off the cosmic treadmill, it looks like they've gone back in time to the early days of the Batcave before Batman ever put the cowl on. But then what happens? The last page, oh my God, it's Flashpoint Batman and actual Batman standing next to each other. What's happening? I don't know. I don't know is the answer.
Oh, okay.
So comics. I'm digging DC again.
Yeah?
Yay, it feels good.
All right.
After I completely erased all their titles from my subscription box. I'm not going to bring them all back in, but I'm going to read some of these trades.
And what's going on with Marvel post Battle World? Where are they now?
Well, post Battle World, they had like a crisis like event,
right?
So I mean, Marvel's much easier. Marvel is just, you like this character, read about this character. You like that character, read about that character. It's not as caught up in the mythology that they have wrapped around themselves. That's not to say that when they have their mega events that they're all successful. Yeah. There's some bullshit going on right now about Captain America and the Cosmic Cube.
That. Like, so he really is a bad. He was really a bad guy all along. Hydra agent.
No, it's comics, man. It's a mega event. There's a Cosmic Cube. The Red Skull manipulated some shit in time, and created an evil Steve Rogers through manipulating the time stream. Who gives a shit? I don't care. Nick Spencer's a terrible writer. I've read a few issues of it. It's garbage. I stopped reading it. That's what you do with comic books. Yeah. You choose to believe what you like.
Yeah. You choose canon?
Sometimes I do, and sometimes I'm like, no.
Okay.
You know, I think The Secret Empire is not necessarily a bad idea. Give that to Ed Brubaker or somebody, and you might have something. Nick Spencer just doesn't have what it takes, man. Yeah. He's not my writer. And he's somebody else's writer. He's, people are liking it. People are hating it. Yeah. It's comics.
All right.
Read the stories you like. Don't read the stories you don't like.
Makes sense.
You're going to like the Superman stuff, though.
I'm going to check it out. I'm excited.
And Peter J. Tomasi has spun off this comic into Super Sons, which is all about Superboy and Damian Wayne Robin. Oh, yeah? And I bet that's pretty good. I like Peter J. Tomasi. He wrote the Batman and Robin comic that was being published parallel with Grant Morrison's book. And at the time, I just did not care about anything that wasn't Grant Morrison's Batman. But I've gone back and reread those. He's a solid writer. He knows how to have fun with these characters. And to do, like I said, adventure stories. Yeah. Action and suspense. It's not everything has to be cataclysmic.
With Batman is what was the guy? Scott Snyder and
I stopped reading Scott Snyder's run. I couldn't take it anymore.
I thought that was your dude.
He was. But then he kept writing.
Oh, yikes.
I just I got tired. I got tired of his run.
Okay.
Maybe I'll come back to it.
Yeah.
I don't know.
That's sad. All right.
It happens. Yeah. There's so many comic books in the world, Darren.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. I'm just saying, like, Batman's your guy, and I know at one point Scott Snyder was your guy, so I just thought, figured you were still on that.
That stopped. But, I think a lot of that might have to do with the artist that he's partnered up with.
Oh, yeah.
When he's with Greg Capullo, I was really enjoying it. Yeah. He's now doing All-Star Batman with John Romita Jr. and some other people.
Oh, yeah.
And it's a little bit of a rotating warehouse of creators. Yeah. And I don't like it when every issue the art changes.
Yeah, that's what stops me from getting into comics.
It's infuriating.
Yeah.
And I understand why he would stop.
Yeah.
Raphael Albuquerque is going to be joining the book here soon. And so when that happens, I'll probably read it again.
Okay. All right. So if you were to recommend to the listeners some books to pick up now.
Right now, if you're a Marvel boy, you got to be reading Jason Aaron's Thor run. But honestly, you got to start at the beginning with the God Butcher. And he's been writing that character for about 3 years now, maybe 4 years, and it's phenomenal. He did a side series called The Unworthy Thor. Mm-hmm. And it has Thor and Thanos and Galactus and the Collector and Beta Ray Bill.
Yeah.
And it's like one of my all-time favorite 6-issue or 5-issue arcs. It's so much fun. But to truly enjoy that issue, you have to have read like the 3 years before.
Gotcha.
Comics are hard to get into.
They're intimidating.
But you need some direction. So if you want to say, like, tweet me at MouthDork and say, hey, I like Thor in those movies. Where do I start? I'll let you know. Hey, I like Ant-Man. Where do I start? I'll let you know. Hey, I like Black Panther. Whatever. I'll steer you in a good place.
All right. Sounds good. All right, so that's it?
I guess that's it. I think I would just like to say that this week we did lose Jonathan Demme.
That's right.
The filmmaker. He's a titan in my love affair with cinema. Obviously, he directed The Silence of the Lambs. I opened this episode with my expert Hannibal Lecter voice. It's one of my all-time favorite movies. I just rewatched it after I heard of his passing, and I just love his close-ups. He shoots everything like a spaghetti western, and I think that's why Silence of the Lambs is so damn creepy. The way Lecter talks directly into the camera and the way Clarice receives his message directly into the camera is so important and so vital to why that film is effective. But, you know, he also made Philadelphia, and he started out doing films like Caged Heat and Fighting Mad, and those are really fun, cheesy, crappy Corman exploitation films that are worth your time. But, you know, he did the Manchurian Candidate remake, which isn't as bad as it should be. And honestly, his last film that he did with Meryl Streep, I think we talked about it on the podcast, Ricky and the Flash.
Oh, yeah.
That film is way better than it should be.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of that had to do with the way he, you know, used the close-up and shot film and brought out the compassion of his players.
Yeah. Rachel Getting Married, which I gave Darren for homework.
He directed that?
Yeah.
Huh.
You gave Darren Rachel Getting Married for homework?
Yeah.
When?
Like maybe it was over a year ago. It was a while ago.
I do not remember that.
It was one of my
episode.
first homework assignments from Brian, I think.
Maybe.
Really?
Yeah.
I have blocked that from my memory.
Me too, but he gave it to me.
I need to watch that film again.
Yeah.
So Jonathan Demme, I mean, he was a tremendous talent, and you know, I was talking about Patrick Gleason. When you look at Patrick Gleason's art, you're like, well, this is somewhat familiar, but totally its own vision and unique to anything else going on in the comic book sphere right now.
Yeah.
You watch a Jonathan Demme movie, I mean, he's as visually unique as anybody else. He's a guy that you watch his films, you go, that's a Jonathan Demme film. So I'll miss him. You know, he died, I think he was like 74 years old, far too young.
Yeah.
Cancer got him. You know, it's a real, you know, it's again, we've talked about this a lot on this podcast. It's always weird when, you know, someone you admire and love from a distance, but you feel like you know them so deeply because you watch every special feature, and when they go, it's like a part of you goes. And I know that sounds ridiculous, especially if like a family member was listening, because, you know, he's not my uncle, he's not my dad, but he did mean a lot to me, and he meant a lot to a lot of people. And you know, there is a hole in Hollywood right now, in cinema, because he's gone.
Yeah.
At the same time, he left a lot of amazing work, and I would encourage anybody to go check him out. Certainly, if you've never seen Silence of the Lambs, you got to do that. And if you've never seen Something Wild, also out on the Criterion Collection, you got to watch Something Wild. That film is nuts. That's a great homework, Brian.
Okay.
I remember that. That's another good one.
Jeff Daniels and Melanie Griffith.
Yeah, that's a great, weird
Ray
little
Liotta
movie.
in that one?
Yeah, Ray Liotta.
Yeah.
I think that's the first time I ever saw
Me
Ray
too,
Liotta.
Me too, yeah.
He is crazy in that
Scary.
film. Scary,
Yeah.
scary, very scary. And that's a film that juggles a lot of tones.
Yeah.
And yeah, I mean, even like Silence of the Lambs. Silence of the Lambs is pretty damn funny. It's also the most horrifying thing you'll ever see, but it's also pretty funny.
Yeah.
So yeah, we miss you, Jonathan Demme.
All right, man. Rest in pictures.
Oh, shit. I'm stealing that. That's a great phrase. Is that your own phrase?
I don't know. I may have heard it somewhere else, but I mean, he's a director,
Yeah,
so you know.
rest in pictures.
We'll have those forever for him.
Shit. I like that, Darren.
Thank you. All right. My week in Dork. I had a pretty good week in Dork. I found myself revisiting a lot of films I had already seen. I went back and rewatched, and I can't remember why, but I went back and rewatched Killing Them Softly, which, dude, I fucking love that movie. I love that movie. Speaking of Ray Liotta,
Scoot McNairy.
He's so good. And Ben Mendelsohn. That's my favorite Ben Mendelsohn role.
Agreed.
Oh my god.
That's my favorite, Scoot and Ben.
Yeah, Ben just oozes off the screen. He is so grimy and shifty. Like, he has such a texture to him, like literally and figuratively. Like, he's so sweaty, but he just looks like somebody you just do not want to be around or have any involvement with. But just the way that film is shot, like I love it. I love that film. So I went back and rewatched that. Speaking of comic books and speaking of Thor, I went back and rewatched Thor: The Dark World.
Oh yeah,
man, I don't know why people shit on that movie. I mean, maybe I could kind of see, but I love Thor: The Dark World. I love the way that movie looks. At the very least, I mean, there are elements that are not my favorite thing in the MCU.
I think it's really good,
but I really like it.
I love the characters. I think the final fight with Mjolnir going through the
different portals, reality. I
awesome.
love that. Yeah, like the main villain elf dude isn't like the most fleshed out villain or whatever. But at the end of the day,
you know how they could have fixed that? Just have Christopher Eccleston voice that character with his own voice.
Yeah.
I think that auto tune that they do does him no favors.
Yeah, I mean, cause, I think back to you look at like, and this is regarding the complaint of like Marvel villains being like really weak. All right, so when you look back at like Commando, right, the villains of Commando,
I don't know what you're talking about. They are well rounded. Sully, man, he just wants to get a little,
But did you say, all right, I want every villain in a movie to be as well-rounded as Sully? No, you kind of don't care.
Every character in Commando is Tom Hiddleston.
When you talk about Commando, the first thing, and sometimes the only thing you talk about is the last half hour of that
when
film.
he's feeding the deer in the credits.
No, is what the hero is doing, what Schwarzenegger is doing. That's really what all we really care about, for the most part. Not every villain can be friggin' Hans Gruber. You know what I'm saying? Like, I understand that.
Hey.
So in that regard,
Bennett's like right up there with Gruber.
Who?
Right? Bennett? Let off some steam?
No. He's better as Wes. I prefer Vernon Wells better as Wes in Road Warrior than Bennett. Fucking chainmail
But
shirt.
he's got that little chainmail shirt.
That's nasty. I like that.
What about Bill Duke? He eats Marines for breakfast. Or no, he eats Green Berets for breakfast.
And he was better at friggin' Predator. And now he wasn't a villain, but still, Bill Duke's a bit better.
Frankly, Bill Duke was better than Bennett. Was better than Vernon Wells in Commando.
Yeah.
I can't. As a kid, Vernon Wells in Commando creeped me out.
He should. He looked like one of the Village people. But, hey, I love Vernon Wells anyway.
I like
so
the Village
what
people.
I'm saying is, the music's dope. All right. But when I don't want my villains being the Village people, those are good guys. They should be up on stage, not getting impaled by pipes. So anyway, I digress. Thor: The Dark World. I really enjoyed it, and I just caught the Mifune documentary on Netflix. If you haven't seen it, check that out. It's okay.
It's okay.
It's about Mifune, so you can't really go wrong. But if you know about Mifune, you kind of are going to want more from your documentary. You're going to want some things that maybe have not been covered, and then
special features on Criterion discs.
Yeah, commentaries. But anyway, so I saw that. Film wise, I went and checked out Sleight.
Again, I am going to give you clean slate for homework.
No,
he's lost his memory, guys.
I'm not watching that. And then I also checked out The Circle, starring Emma Watson and Tom Hanks and John Boyega.
How was that?
So I don't know. I'm still processing that film. I saw maybe one trailer when it first came out. And because it wasn't a movie that was necessarily on my radar, I saw that trailer. It went in one ear and out the other, and I kind of put it out of my mind. So I'm so far removed from that initial viewing of that trailer that going into it today, which is when I saw it, I really didn't bring anything into that screening with me. So it was almost just like watching it after never having seen a trailer. And so Emma Watson's character, May, She's this person that works for a temp agency, answering calls. She's a customer service rep, and she's not really satisfied with her current employment situation. She's someone who is very much a part of our current culture of I'll text you rather than call you, and so the story speaks upon that. And she gets a call from her friend and says, hey, I got an interview get set up for you with my company, which is The Circle, which is basically Apple. It's like, because The Circle. So when they show her go to this location, it's basically, if you're not in the know, Apple has been spending the last couple of years building a new campus out in California that's called the Spaceship. It's nicknamed the Spaceship, and then it's this round saucer like shaped building. It's huge. It is insanely huge. They're just putting the finishing touches on it. It should be open, if not before the end of this year, definitely by next year. Anyway, the campus, the headquarters for the circle, quote unquote, the circle, is pretty much that, except it's hollowed out. It's like a ring. So the building is like a giant ring. So, you know, the company in the film is basically Apple. It's this huge tech company. It's this giant, it's the biggest business in the world. And it's basically this person, Emma Watson's character, May, going to work for this company. And, her just being excited at the prospect of getting a new job that's not, this mundane existence as a telemarketer / customer service rep, but something with the potential to be more. So she goes to this company, and it's like you would expect if someone were to give you the tour of the Apple headquarters at Cupertino. Like, you just, all right, over there is where we have yoga in the yard. Over there is where we have a live band. Over there is where you go and learn how to make coffee and plant trees or whatever. It's like she's getting this rapid fire tour. She goes to this, when she goes there, and it's basically, and it's weird because Tom Hanks doesn't show up until like 20-30 minutes into the film. He is basically Steve Jobs / Tim Cook, and it's about her not really knowing what this company is, but finding out once she gets inside. But in any other film, or what I was expecting was, oh no, I'm going to go work. I think this. Okay, so I'm going to preface it by saying this. I'm the resident Applehead of the It Modcast. I'm the resident Applehead of anybody that I know. Whenever someone has an issue with their iPhone or their cell phone, they call me, text me, bring me their phone. So I love Apple, all things Apple, right? So it was like if knowing what I know of Apple, they make great products. I love their operating system. I can tell you all the benefits of using Siri, the cloud, the apps, the Apple enclosed ecosystem of their apps that work on their phone, their MacBooks, their iPads, their computers, all of that. I can explain all that to you. Like, if you spoke to me, you would think I worked at the Genius Bar at the Apple Store. Like, I can do that. I've done it. I've been in the Apple Store and instructed people. Yes. So it's like if I have this view of Apple, and then I actually go work for Apple, and then I find out that, well, yeah, on the outside looking in, you see all these things that they better mankind. Everybody has an iPhone. They use it to shoot movies. Doctors use it.
Brainwash.
But here's the thing, though. And this is where I had an interesting. Excuse me. I had this interesting conversation with myself while watching the movie. I had it when in the interview with Jill Six that we recently posted. Go check it out if you haven't. I mentioned to her where I heard her say that she's fascinated with villains that she can either identify or sympathize with, and I kind of agree. I think it's interesting when you can look at a villain and see their reason for whatever they're doing and go, okay, how you're going about it is wrong, but I kind of see where you're coming from. You just need to maybe think about a different way of doing things, but you're not wrong in your aim, but you're wrong in your execution. I kind of had a similar takeaway when watching The Circle. So Tom Hanks, again, he plays like the Steve Jobs, Tim Cook character, and he's the father of a child with cerebral palsy, and so he wants to not only make life better for mankind through the use of technology like Steve Jobs and Tim Cook, but also he wants to make life and enhance life for his son. So his son not being able to walk in the woods and take a hike or go on a mountain bike ride over the Grand Canyon or kayak or whatever, and down some rapids. Like, he wants to make technology that can put that experience at his son's fingertips. So like Tom Hanks' character in the movie, and if you've listened to any of Steve Jobs or Tim Cook's conferences and speeches, when they talk about they released a new operating system for the iPhone or whatever, or they released a new product like the iPhone or the iPad or the iPod or whatever, they talk about using the technology to enhance and enrich people's lives. And yes, it's a sales pitch, but also when you look at the implementation of these things into our culture and popularity, you cannot deny that for better or for worse, the iPhone, that technology, the iPad, the Mac, laptops, computers in general have changed human history. It's undeniable. And so on one hand, when Tom Hanks's character is up there giving this speech on how he's doing the unveiling of a new product or a new software that they're working on. And when he's giving his speech and his spiel about the thought behind developing it, the implementation of it, and how it could benefit us, you go, shit, like that's all right, that's cool. Like I could see that. But then you look at it and go, but yeah, is that violating like privacy laws, or is that going too far? And I really found myself having that back and forth with myself, going, well, yeah, like that's a really cool technology, and it can be used to enhance and benefit mankind. But because mankind is mankind, there's going to be a way to pollute that, or use that for nefarious purposes or whatever. I mean, you look at the computer. The computer was not invented to look up child pornography or bait some kid across the world or across the country to come over and do something horrible to them. It wasn't invented for that. But that's what humankind ends up using it for in sometimes. So, the movie deals with how we as a society view technology, use technology, how some people have a specific idea in mind in developing it, but may also be blind to the reality of its use and implementation. And I just thought that duality was like really interesting. And then me being an Apple head, like the idea of this world, her stepping into this new world is exactly how I imagine if, I got a call saying, hey, Apple wants to interview you. They want you to come work at the headquarters in California. Like if I walk in there and, it's just everything that I ever dreamed it would be. So it was cool, like living out that fantasy through her character and having all these different things thrown at her. But so one of the things that the Circle deals with, and it's the crux of the story and her character arc and conflict is, so the Circle is not, I mean, the title of the movie is in regards to Tom Hanks's character. I got to look at his name. His name is Bailey. So Tom Hanks's character, he founded this company, and the Circle represents this encompassing idea of togetherness, oneness, inclusiveness, and unity. And so when you work at that company, you're a community. So you're also expected to basically like put all your information into the company so that it's accessible to everybody. There's transparency. I know where Brad's hanging out when he's off duty, when he comes to work. I know what his likes are, dislikes.
Stop looking at my red tube.
It's like you have to sign up to have your metrics available to the Circle, and it's on one hand they show how that could be beneficial. So there's a scene where Emma Watson, she kind of breaks into this kayaking place after hours to go out on the water and just to clear her head because something crazy has just happened. But when she does that, she goes out into the water in the bay in I think it's in San Francisco, and like this huge fog rolls over, and and then the waves pick up and start to chop, and then she gets disoriented, and this boat comes and it capsizes her canoe, and then she's she's in the water, she's struggling to get back to her boat, and she's basically stranded out there. No one knows she's out there. So then this helicopter comes, and then she's rescued. But it's rescued because earlier in the film, Tom Hanks' character Bailey, he unveiled this new product that that they're about to put out, and it's basically like this small circular camera. It looks like an eyeball, and it can be placed anywhere, and it's tied into. It's basically like if Apple would have put out a small circular surveillance type camera that you can stick anywhere, and it would be tied to Siri and to iCloud, so that through satellite imaging and data and metrics and algorithms, they can track you anywhere. So basically, because her metrics are kept by the Circle, the company, they were able to know that she was out on that water in that distress, and they were able to send help for her. So on one hand, when he's at giving that speech and that unveiling, you go, man, that's cool technology, but that's kind of sketchy because, like, what if it's used for, X, Y, and Z? But then this thing happens to her, and it ends up being the thing that saves her life. And you go, okay, well, I can kind of see the good in that, but then there's some more things that happen, and I don't want to spoil the film in case anyone is interested in seeing it. So for me, it was a very interesting. It was a very interesting look at those ideas of the technology that we have and the use for it, and the misuses that could possibly befall upon it. And so, but where that story ends for her character was not. It doesn't go like, all right, this girl is aloof. She goes to work for this big tech company. She thinks it's the best thing in the world. She works behind the scenes. She finds out it really is like this nefarious place, and this guy has like these bad intentions. So now she's got to bust it up from the inside.
So it's not antitrust?
No, and it does not end. It ends in a very interesting place that felt very real and current to me regarding if someone from our current, the millennials or whatever, would be in that situation, how they view it. It's not. She doesn't go from all of a sudden from I'm putting my life out there 24/7 for everybody to see. I'm part of social media. I'm interacting every day. I got my face stuck in my phone. I have this body camera that broadcasts my life, 100% transparency. She doesn't go from that to, you know what, this is wrong. We got to, do something about it. This is not how we're supposed to be. We need to interact in person, blah, 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 blah. Doesn't go where you think it's going to go at the end. But she does have a character arc. It just doesn't go in the direction that you expect. And so it ends on a very weird, but for me, realistic note.
Okay, so I mean, so you love the movie? You like the movie?
I'm still thinking about. So when it first went off, like I remember, like kind of smiling, like that last act when she does this thing.
So you're recommending it?
I am at least for discussion, at least to be able to see how current it is. And it's one of those things where you kind of go, okay, that's pretty out there. It's pretty far fetched, whatever. But all you have to do is look at your smartphone and look at your iTunes account and see that half of that shit is already implemented. Like there is already some basis in reality for it. Like all your social media accounts are all already in use. And it's just a matter of somebody, a Mark Zuckerberg or Tim Cook or whoever saying, all right, well, what if we tied your Facebook account into your voter registration? What if in order to sign up for an iTunes account or an iCloud account, you had to, it automatically registers you to vote? Because for the same things, for the same criteria you need to give your information as far as to register to vote, you kind of need that to sign up for an iTunes account, your social, all this other shit, credit card shit, your bank information, so you can be billed for services that you buy through iTunes. So not saying you need your credit card information to sign up to register to vote, but to sign up for these accounts, you need the same information you need to register to vote. So what if you tie that in? So everyone who signs up for a Circle account is automatically registered to vote. So you have all these voters already. So then that helps the democracy process when it comes time to vote and all this other shit. So a lot of the stuff that's in the movie kind of seems far-reaching, but it's not really out of the realm of possibility or reality because half of it's already implemented. And I want to say this. You ever watch a film and someone is recently passed in it and you see it and you go, oh, man, and it kind of makes you sad or whatever? I didn't know he was in the film.
Yeah. Who?
Bill Paxton. He plays Emma Watson's father, May.
Oh, I didn't realize that.
Yeah.
When he comes on screen, he has multiple sclerosis in the film as a father. When he comes up on the screen, I've been in theaters where I've been with somebody and someone who was recently passed is on screen and they go, oh, and they get emotional or whatever. Not really boohoo crying, but like.
Well, like every time at the Alamo right now when they show that clip from Twister as part of their April montage, you have Bill Paxton and Philip Seymour Hoffman.
That's right.
And it, the first time I saw it, it hit me. But I've seen it like a whole bunch of times all month long.
Yeah.
And there's always somebody in the crowd who's like, oh.
I've never had that happen to me personally.
Uh-huh.
But when he pops up on screen, and because I didn't know he was in it, when he pops up on screen, and at first I thought he had Parkinson's because how he was moving, but then I realized that he had multiple sclerosis. But how he's performing that, because he's in the physical performance of that to represent having multiple sclerosis. But he is so good, and I don't think he's overdoing it, overselling it either. I mean, he's 100% Bill Paxton. He's very warm. He's a good guy in the film. He's a good father. He loves May. He just wants the best for her. He's not overbearing, anything like that. He's just a good person. He's probably the nicest person in the film. But just him on screen, him in that performance. Not even just sad because, oh, he's not here anymore, but just seeing him in that performance coupled with the fact that, oh, shit, like, that's right, he's not here anymore. Like, it kind of got me. I was like, oh, shit. And I got emotional for a second, but every second he's on screen, he's just so good. He is so good. John Boyega is another character who is in it.
How's he doing?
He's good in the film. He doesn't have as big a part. He's basically the guy who created, say, your iPhone operating system in Siri. And then Apple took it and then spun it off, and now it's this whole other thing that he did not intend for it to be. And so he's looking at you like, all right, you're glad to be working here, Darren. You're so excited, but do you realize like what the fuck is going on? Like, have you listened to stuff that they're saying? Like, that's cool with you? That you're okay with all that? So like he has a very interesting character in the film. But yeah, like I enjoyed it.
How about Tom Hanks?
Tom Hanks was fine. It's weird. It's like I was like, all right, well, I guess he's supposed to be the bad guy in this film, so I'm expecting like a really smarmy, sleazy type of Tom Hanks performance, but it's not that. And again, there was a confliction with me. I was like, man, I kind of don't see how he's the bad guy, but I guess the movie's telling me he's a bad guy, but I see where he's coming from. Like all the stuff that he's doing, I can see how it could be used to do good. I don't think that it's wrong, but there are some things that happen toward the end that kind of force you to go, okay, he's just bad now. He's just out and out bad. So minus a few clunky scenes here and there with her male platonic friend. Can't remember the guy's name, but it's a younger dude. But minus a few clunky scenes there, I really found myself enjoying the film. So I would recommend seeing it, at the very least, so you can discuss it and talk about it.
Brian, are you going to see it now that Darren's been rambling?
Probably not. I don't go to the movies that often, and it's not just a movie that interests me. I might check it like on Redbox or cable.
Wow, Redbox.
Yeah, It just doesn't look. I mean, the trailers just didn't grab me. I like the cast, but
and Darren didn't sell it to you.
Not really.
Brian wasn't even paying attention to me. He's on his MacBook. He didn't hear me.
I'm gonna check it out. I want to see it. I like all the performers.
Yeah.
And now that you said Bill Paxton's in the movie, I gotta go.
He was really good. So yeah, that's pretty much it. I think. Yeah, I'm trying to think. I've been playing. You know what? I've been playing Rise of the Tomb Raider. So this game came out This game came out a while ago on last generation systems. It got re-released on the PlayStation 4 and got like a 4K upgrade, right? So I decided, all right, well, I got the new PS4 with the 4 Pro that plays 4K games. I got a 4K TV, so let me get this game so I can see how it looks on my TV. And why it looks great, right? But the thing that struck me the most is, and I've been playing it for a few days straight now, and like video games have come so far from just platforming with Mario to storytelling games like Heavy Rain or The Last of Us that are really story driven. And while Tomb Raider isn't necessarily like The Last of Us, isn't story driven like that, there is story to it. But as far as like a sense of like adventure, like this game is like you're playing. So when this movie comes out with Alicia Vikander, that she's playing the Lara Croft in this new iteration. So when that movie comes out, I'm not saying that that's going to have a script written by Aaron Sorkin. It's not going to have like the best like story in the world, I don't think. But it's going to have like action and a sense of adventure. So playing this past Tomb Raider game has like it made me think that this is the closest that you can get to playing a movie like that. Controlling a character going through, like if you were controlling like Indiana Jones as he's going through these booby trap places and the tension that's inherent with you caring about the lead character. Well, in this one, you're more connected because you're physically controlling the lead character, so you have an investment into that character's safety. So I don't know, like I found myself really impressed with, firstly, just the level of interaction that you have with a narrative art form like that, and then with the graphics being so upgraded, it brings you even one step closer. I mean, I'm in the an Arctic area. It's in the Soviet, so it's in Russia. There's snow everywhere. With the 4K upgrade and the resolution being so high, I could see like, how like when you go outside and it's snow on the ground and the sun hits it, you can see individual like sparkles on the snow. Like you can see that shit on the snow. That's how fine and close the detail is. You can see like the texture in the fabric on her friggin' Arctic jackets and stuff like that. It's pretty insane. But anyway, all of that helps to put you into the story and the immersiveness of actually controlling this character in this movie. And it's really cool. I gotta say, it's really cool. And as we speak, my copy of Outlast, the last of Outlast Part 2, was actually the Outlast Trinity. It's the first Outlast, the downloadable content, and the new Outlast Part 2 game. That's in my house waiting for me as we speak. And what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to stream. I had requests to firstly get the game just so that I can play it while streaming it. So I'll be streaming it on Twitch at the Disco Dork and on the YouTube channel, ItMod YouTube channel. And so with that game, with the Outlast game, the first game is basically you're this reporter who someone sent you this this cryptic message about some goings on in an old abandoned, I think it was like a psychiatric hospital. And so you're a reporter, so you go to check it out. And so you're not an action hero, so you're not carrying a gun. You have a video camera and a recorder, I think. And so basically you're trying to investigate the goings on in this abandoned psychiatric hospital. Well, the game is creepy as shit, firstly because of its setting in a psychiatric hospital. But secondly, it's what gives it its suspense and horror is that, again, you're connected to this character because you're controlling this character. So like in a movie, when you're watching a movie and you're like, girl, run. What are you doing? Don't go. Just run. Well, in a situation similar to that in the video game, you can make that person run. You can say, girl, run. And then you control her and make her run. But when in Outlast, because you're just a reporter, you have no weapons. You only have the camera and that's it. So when it's dark, you cut the night vision light on your camera and you only see in night vision, right? So when a threat comes, because you don't have a weapon, the only thing you can do is evade and hide. And so the game has a mechanic where you run, and it's in first person. So you run and then you see a locker or a bed and you hide under the bed. And then your view is you peeking under the bed, you see the door open and you see the feet walk in the room and the person's walking around looking for you and you're hiding. And so it adds a level of fear and tension because you know, like if that thing looks up under the bed and flips the bed over, you can't do shit but run and try to get out of that room. So taking away your weaponry adds a level of suspense to the game that is just, it's smothering. So when I recently streamed that Resident Evil game, I was playing that in VR. And in the beginning, you don't have a weapon. And then earlier on, you have an encounter and you pick up an axe. And I remarked in that streaming, I was like, y'all see how fast I'm moving now because I got this axe? It's weird. I feel kind of not necessarily empowered, but I feel less scared and less cautious because if you notice, before I picked that axe up, when I was walking down the halls, I was moving really slow. I would inch around a corner and look real quick before I walked into a room. Whereas once I had that axe and then subsequently a pistol, I found a pistol, like I was moving through that house like I have a care in the world. Something would jump out and scare the shit out of me, but I would shoot it and swing at it. But when I didn't have those weapons, like I was genuinely scared. And that's the entirety of the Outlast games. You never pick up a weapon. So you're vulnerable the entire time. And so I'm going to be streaming that soon, streaming and screaming, because I have people at work telling me they want to see it. My brother Zach wants me to see it. I'm sorry, not wants me to see it, wants me to play it and stream it so they can just watch me scream out in horror. So I'm going to probably be doing that tonight once we get on, once I edit this episode. So I'm looking forward to the streaming experience, but I'm not looking forward to playing that game. I couldn't even get through the demo of Outlast 2. It's rough. But, you know, got to give the people what they want. Gotta give them what they need. Hey, our freedom of speech is freedom of death. We gotta fight the powers that be. Sorry, that was Chuck D. All right, so that's gonna do it for my week in Dork. Shout out to Wife Dork who wasn't here. I also saw Lawrence of Arabia with her at the Alamo. We'll say that for like another time. Yeah, I saw Lawrence of Arabia. That's about it. Let's see, what else you got? What we got coming up? Oh, the month of May.
Oh, son.
ItMod is teaming up with the Alamo Draft House in Winchester, Virginia, Film Club 3.0, and we are hosting ItMod Month out there. Each Sunday in the month of May, one dork will be screening and hosting a film out there. The first Sunday, May 7th.
We are finally able to reveal the titles.
Yes.
This is a first on this episode.
Yeah, so if you've been under a rock and not on Twitter or Facebook, the first Sunday in May, I will be screening Kung Fu Hustle. The second Sunday in May, Wife Dork will be screening Head.
Oh,
her
shit.
favorite film. And on the third Sunday in May, Mouth Dork will be screening Pat Garrett and Billy the Kid. Yeah. And on the final Sunday in May, Turtle Dork will be screening one of his favorite films, Joe Carnahan's The Grey.
Yes.
Each film will start at 5 p.m. Tickets are on sale for Kung Fu Hustle now.
All of the tickets are for sale right now.
Oh, so yeah. So please get your tickets, come out, watch the films with us, and we're going to talk about them while we're there, before and after the film. So come join in the discussion and get to watch the film. They're only $7. Tickets are only $7 a pop, except for Head, because it's Lisa and she's
and because
she's worth more.
Well, Head costs a lot more money for Andy to get.
Yeah.
So it's a pricier ticket. But $10 to see Head on the big screen.
Yeah.
I don't think this movie has played in the DMV in decades, maybe ever.
Yeah. So I'm excited. Yeah, I have to say, I looked on the Alamo, the website, the ticket, the app, or whatever for Kung Fu Hustle, and it was like our seats, and then like maybe it's as of right now it's a total of 10, including us, right? So at first I was bummed out. I'm not gonna lie, I was bummed out. But then I was like, you know what? If no one else shows up, and I get a private screening of Kung Fu Hustle all to myself,
that's not going to happen.
Dorks,
These tickets
I'm excited.
just went on sale. I bet you it's already sold out, Darren.
I'm saying I just looked before we recorded. But here's the thing. I don't care, because if that just means I get a private screening of Kung Fu Hustle, that's still dope to me. But
you know
people
what?
Are gonna come.
Joe Carnahan has been retweeting at Modcast about the Grey screening.
Mm-hmm.
We're going to get him on this show, right?
I'm touching
right?
base with him.
Right, Brian? Make it happen.
You know, Andy got juice. Like, you have a really good resource right there. Like, take advantage of it.
Oh, no, I will.
Andy got juice. So,
So, yeah. No, you're not going to want to miss out. If you are in the Northern Virginia area, please come on down. Support the podcast.
Please.
And see 4 really interesting movies.
Yeah.
That all deserve to be seen on the biggest screen possible.
I think so.
Yeah.
I think so. I agree. All right, Brian Young, the Turtle Dork. What are you looking forward to this week?
This week?
Guardians.
Well, thank you.
Sorry. It's not the circle.
No. Guardians of the Galaxy. The start of the summer movie season. It begins. Summer 2017 is upon us.
Are you ready, though?
Am I ready? I don't know. Am I ready?
Yes, you're ready.
Am I ready? I think
you
I
got
am.
Power Rangers out of your system. You got
I know.
What was the other one?
That was it. That was like my number one that gave me
Fast
the most.
and Furious.
Fast and Furious. You got Fast 8 out of your system.
Yeah, we
So,
got that out of my system.
You need palate,
that's actually a good thing.
You need a palate cleanser now.
I know. So I'm excited for a lot of the stuff that's coming out this summer. So stay tuned to our fistful.
All right, and you can find Brian Young, the Turtle Dork, at the Turtle Dork on Twitter, at the Turtle Dork 1 on Instagram, and Brian William Young on Facebook.
We don't need to promote ourselves.
At Letterboxd, he's whatever you want him to be, because you're not going to find him there because he doesn't use it anyway.
I do. That was my New Year's resolution.
Whatever. Fuck New Year's, huh? All right, Brad Gullix and Mouth Dork, what are you looking forward to this week?
More
Guardians.
Well, Guardians, definitely. But maybe not. Take a look at our Fistful this Friday. It might not be on my top 5. You don't know. It could be on my number 6. All right? Possibly. Yeah. So you got to listen to that Fistful coming up on Friday.
Yep.
Until then, though, I'm going to be reading more comic books. The latest Hellboy trade paperback just came out.
Wait.
What?
This new Hellboy? I thought Hellboy was retired.
Well, no, Hellboy didn't retire. Hellboy fucking died.
No.
Mike Mignola finished telling his story. There is an end. He illustrated and wrote the end of Hellboy.
Yeah.
That's not to say other artists can't come on and tell their own stories in between the timeline of his life. And that's what's currently going on. They just did an original graphic novel called Into the Silent Sea. Thank you. I still need Hellboy in my life. And I'm going to get it probably until I'm dead.
Yeah.
So that's out. Last week we were talking about... No, we weren't. No, that's a spoiler for the Fistful that's coming up. Anyway, I'm reading a Wonder Woman comic. It's Who is Wonder Woman by Alan Heinberg. He wrote the OC television show. He is currently writing the Wonder Woman film, the screenplay. Maybe that's in my top 5. You don't know. I don't know. I might change it.
Tune in to find out. And Brad Gullickson is at Mouth Dork on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, Letterboxd, and Untapped.
Not Tinder, though. Wife won't let me do that.
Speaking of wife, Wife Dork is at Sidewalk Siren on Twitter and Instagram. And I'm your host, Darren Smith, the Disco Dork, on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, and Letterboxd. And I'm looking forward to Guardians. Got my back-to-back screening tickets already.
I am Groot.
I am Groot. Yeah, that's going to do it for us. Thank you all for listening. We hope you enjoyed the episode. If not, we'll try harder.
Oh, before we go.
Yep.
I have to redeem myself. Lisa would kill me if I didn't say this, but the podcast that Cameron Esposito does with Rhea Butcher is called Put Your Hands Together. And you should all listen to that when you're done listening to Itmodcast.
And Maria Butcher wasn't the one that
No,
was...
Rhea Butcher and Cameron Esposito.
Okay.
Cameron Esposito was the one in Sleight.
Yes. Okay.
Who was buying the Molly.
I'm glad you told me
not
that.
Not selling the Molly.
Yeah.
Buying the Molly.
Yeah, because when I was looking at it, I was like, she looks so familiar, but I don't know what else she's been in. I was thinking movie-wise.
No, we've seen her in person. All of us have.
Huh?
In Hall H last
serious?
year.
Oh,
Cameron Esposito was on the Hall H podcast panel.
That's right. That's right. Okay.
The podcast panel at Hall H last year. Remember, there was like it was like when Hall H was practically empty.
It was like comedian podcast people.
There.
Oh yeah.
Okay. Well, we were in the room with Cameron Esposito. Yeah. I've been in the room with Cameron Esposito twice because I also saw her at UCB Theater in L.A. because I'm cool like that.
Yeah. All right.
I put my hands together.
All right,
I'm not gonna let you stop it.
Thank you.
This is my episode.
And until next time.